just ahead on CTV News.
Early voting has now ended in the state of Maryland. I'm Bryce Parker. We have some details on those early voting numbers coming up on CTV News.
It's time to roll those clocks back this weekend. I'm Katara Jones. I'll tell you everything you need to know coming up on CTV News.
Plus, Simon Buggs brings us our Friday sports page. Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for November 1st. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. Our top story, Election Day is just 4 days away, and the unofficial early voting numbers show an increased excitement in the electoral process. Now, CTV's Bryce Parker has more.
Early voting has now ended in the state of Maryland, and the unofficial numbers suggest record-breaking participation this year. Just right here in Prince George's County, more than 150,000 people have already decided to cast their ballots early, more than 32,000 more compared to the numbers in 2020. The spike in early voting locally is consistent with the spike that we are seeing nationally. Motivating factors include the presidential race between former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as the polarizing issues that they represent that are in direct correlation with the outcome of this race. However, a local driver of early voter turnout has to do with the increased eyes on the U.S. Senate race between Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. The outcome of that race will have national implications regarding the balance of power in the United States Senate. And although Maryland has historically voted blue in the past, Hogan's popularity as governor has made this race closer than many would have anticipated. Regardless of the outcome of that Senate race, history will be made. If it's Hogan, it will be the first time that a Republican has been sent to the Senate by the state of Maryland since 1987. And if it's Alsobrooks, she would then become the first black senator in the history of the state of Maryland. And we'll have to wait until Election Day on November 5th to know what the people have decided. Reporting from Largo, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
All right, Bryce, thanks so much. And if you have not registered to vote yet, there is still time. Maryland allows voters to register in person on Election Day. And Attorney General Anthony Brown is issuing a cease and desist letter against a voter turnout group. The letter says voter participation centers' voting report cards are making people uneasy if they choose not to vote. The report cards include people's voting records along with the records of 2 neighbors. And the letter says the group will check voting records to see the recipients had voted. Brown says VPC's intimidation tactics are against state law and is demanding the group not to publish these records. Meanwhile, Maryland election officials are on high alert as incidents of ballot boxes being set on fire in Oregon and Washington raise concerns. Jared DeMarinis, Maryland's state election administrator, assures that all ballot drop boxes are under 24/7 video surveillance. The State Board of Elections is also collaborating with state and federal law enforcement to bolster protections. Now, with just 4 days until the general election, safeguarding the vote is a top priority. And in a surprise visit, former President Barack Obama joined Senate candidate Angela Alsobrooks at a phone bank yesterday, even bringing Halloween cookies for hardworking volunteers. Obama urged Marylanders to vote for Alsobrooks, calling her a, quote, champion for Maryland and highlighting the importance of a Democratic Senate majority. The event brought cheers and high energy as Obama encouraged the volunteers in their final push, reminding them, quote, with the right team, we can make things happen.
So we got an extraordinary candidate. The question now is, are we going to do everything we can to make sure that she can continue to represent you now in the United States Senate?
And the latest poll has Alsobrooks leading her opponent, former Governor Larry Hogan, 52% to 40%. And Prince George's police are investigating a fatal shooting that left a local up-and-coming rapper dead yesterday. 29-year-old Trayshawn Sparrow Bay, also known as 3 Commas, was killed in a neighborhood right near Northwest Stadium. Now, officers arrived at Atlee Drive around 11:30 a.m. They found the rapper outside suffering from gunshot wounds. He was later pronounced dead on the scene. Now, detectives do believe that this was a random crime, and a $25,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to an arrest and indictment in this case. And the family of a Maryland woman who is allegedly cremated without her family's consent reaches a settlement with the state and the medical examiner. Patricia Hill's family recently reached a $150,000 settlement after filing a complaint, alleging that when they went to view their mother's body, they were told Hill's body was disposed of last year. Now, the complaint alleges that the office of the chief medical examiner caused the family severe mental, emotional, and psychological harm. And today, Maryland's sweeping juvenile justice law takes effect, allowing children as young as 10 years old to be referred to the system for a broader range of nonviolent crimes, including aggravated animal cruelty and third-degree sex offenses. Now, advocates are divided. Some view it as a step toward accountability, while others fear it could harm young children without boosting safety. The Maryland Commission on Juvenile Justice Reform is set to evaluate the law's impact with its first meeting on November 6th. And for the first time ever, the IRS has audited the Maryland government. Now taxpayers owe around $5 million for the 2020 tax year. Now, the state first owed around $16 million, but state agencies were able to lower it. And Deputy Comptroller for Law and Oversight, Rachel Sessa, says penalties came from state agencies filing errors and too many contributions for deferred compensation. The state is implementing corrective actions like training for agencies, and it will begin in the coming months. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, Marylanders can now apply for low-cost health plans starting today. We'll have more on those details after the break.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we are at our best, we have more to offer the world around us. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. Thanks to your donations, we're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Welcome back. Now to an update. We now know that it was staph food poisoning that caused dozens of employees at a Maryland distribution facility to get sick. State health officials have determined that through testing the sick employees and the food they ate, that staph was to blame. And as we reported, 46 workers at the NAVCO wholesale fish distribution facility in Jessup got sick from food brought in by an employee and then shared. The CDC says one of the best ways to prevent staph food poisoning is to keep food out of the, quote, danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And 2 pharmaceutical companies are settling with Maryland for almost $50 million. Attorney General Anthony Brown says the companies, Heritage Pharmaceuticals and Apotex, are a part of a years-long multi-state antitrust lawsuit. The lawsuit says that both companies were inflating drug prices and reducing competition. Now, the settlement will make the companies cooperate with the state's lawsuit. And if you purchased a prescription from the two companies from 2010 to 2018, you could be compensated. Make sure you go to aggenericdrugs.com. Meanwhile, open enrollment for Maryland Health Connection is underway. From today through January 15th, Marylanders can sign up for low-cost health plans with tax credits available to help bring down monthly premiums. A new feature this year allows DACA recipients to enroll in private plans. And Maryland Health Connection also welcomes new insurer WellPoint Maryland alongside options like Aetna and Care First.
Health insurance today is more about keeping you well and keeping you healthy. Again, free immunizations, get your COVID shot, get your flu shots. Those are free benefits through your health plan. So stay healthy, keep your life moving. It's within reach affordability. In fact, in Maryland, we have the lowest, two of our plans, the lowest bronze and the lowest gold plan in the nation. And overall, we are the third lowest in the cost of premium. So we're lucky in Maryland that we've taken a lot of efforts to make health insurance really affordable.
And you can visit marylandhealthconnection.gov for more information on how to enroll. And in a push for greater transparency in Prince George's County's criminal justice system, Court Watch is launching a recruitment drive for volunteer observers. Now, these dedicated court watchers will hold judges and prosecutors accountable, ensuring that everyone's rights are protected in the courtroom.
It would also help the community in educating them on how the court system actually works. So when you are a black and brown individual and the way mass incarceration is, we need to understand the justice system. It holds accountability to all the players, whether it's the loved one, whether it's the judge, whether it's the assistant state's attorney, the public defender. It holds everybody accountable. It makes everyone transparent.
And Dr. Johnson also says the organization hopes this recruitment drive would expose potential disparities in the criminal justice system. And Comptroller Brooke Learman called out the University System of Maryland for awarding dining services contracts without any, quote, rhyme or reason. More than $330 million was awarded for contracts from 5 different institutions. Learman said there was a lack of uniformity among the schools when it came to the procurement process, even though the schools are under the same system. The 5 contracts had different base amounts and different goals for participation from socially and economically disadvantaged small businesses. The contracts were awarded years ago, but now the school system is seeking retroactive approval from the Board of Public Works. Meanwhile, the University of Maryland College Park switched to a paid student tour guide system this school year and has drawn mixed reaction from former and current student guides. After 40 years of operating as Maryland Images, the student tour guide organization disbanded after demanding being paid minimum wage for the services to the university. Now, although some students applaud the university's efforts, others believe under the new paid model that this gig feels too much like a traditional job, going as far to say that giving tours now feels like an obligation rather than a passion. And a groundbreaking new data center campus is set to rise on the former Landover Mall site, marking Prince George's County's largest project of its kind. And what you're looking at on your screen is a striking rendering from Lerner Enterprises of the planned cluster of 5 state-of-the-art facilities. With the potential to consume up to 820 megawatts of power, this $5 billion investment could break ground as early as 2026. And so to come on CTV News, it's time to meet a new scaly friend for our Pet of the Week. You don't want to miss it.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is.
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you.
Kids in the middle. What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Got one of these hanging on the wall? You're qualified. One of these? You're qualified too. Love a good checklist? Qualified. 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 Yep, qualified. Because if you know how to put up anything in your home, you're qualified to save lives by installing free smoke alarms in your community. Go to soundthealarm.org to find a volunteer event near you.
It's time to grab your clocks and set them back 1 hour this weekend. That's because daylight saving time is coming to an end. CTV's Katira Jones is in the control room with more on what you need to know.
That's right. Daylight savings time is ending this Sunday, November 3rd, which is always on the first Sunday of November of each year. So what does this mean for you at home? Well, you will need to roll your clocks back 1 hour beginning this Sunday at 2 a.m. Many people will be enjoying getting that extra hour of sleep from the ending of daylight savings time. However, the Sleep Foundation says sometimes the clock change from falling back can result in people feeling sluggish and even tired. Now, all states will be rolling their clocks back on Sunday except for Hawaii, parts of Arizona, and some U.S. territories. There has been a push in Congress to make daylight savings time the permanent standard time through the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021. The legislation was voted unanimously in the Senate in 2022, but did not pass the House. Sleep experts say the best ways to prepare your body for the ending of daylight savings time is to improve your sleep hygiene and reduce sleep distractions. Back to you, Michaela, in the studio.
All right, Katira, thanks so much. And a fun fact about daylight saving time is that it was first established in May of 1916 in Germany to conserve fuel during World War I. And the Washington Post lost at least 250,000 subscribers since announcing that it would not endorse a candidate for president. Additionally, 3 senior opinion editors stepped down in protest, and the Post's owner, Jeff Bezos, defended the decision, saying that presidential endorsements create a perception of bias at the paper while having little real influence on how readers vote. The Los Angeles Times also suffered audience losses after choosing not to endorse. Meanwhile, Metro riders, listen up. Some stations will be closed this weekend for construction work. WMATA will close 5 stations on the Orange Line on Saturday, November 2nd, and Sunday, November 3rd. The closed stations include Minnesota Avenue, Deanwood, Cheverly, Landover, and New Carrollton. Now, during the closure, crews will be working to remove vegetation, make grout pad repair, and replace electrical systems. Now, trains will run every 15 minutes between Vienna and Stadium Armory. Metro will also offer free shuttles between New Carrollton and Stadium Armory. And Southwest Airlines just unveiled its summer 2025 schedule, adding exciting new nonstop flights from Baltimore, Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport to 6 West Coast cities. Starting June 5th, travelers can fly directly to Long Beach, Ontario, Portland, San Francisco, San Jose, and Seattle. BWI is already the busiest Southwest station on the East Coast, with 18.3 million passengers flying in 2023. Now, the new flights will be overnight red-eye services, complementing 6 other red-eye routes to cities like Denver and Las Vegas. And it's time for our slithering pet of the week. Meet Kazam. He is a python, and he's looking for home where he can show off his curious and calm personality. Pythons like Kazam are known for being low maintenance, and he's sure to be a unique addition to any household.
This one has a diet of what we call pinkies, which are baby mice, but we definitely recommend that anyone that's interested in adopting a reptile to do thorough research on them prior to adopting them, because they do have to have a specific type of habitat, a specific type of tank, and have to live in a specific type of enclosure. So we definitely recommend that you do your research prior to adopting one of these guys.
And if you would like to adopt Kazam or any of his scaly friends, make sure you call Animal Management at 301-780-7200. All right, Simon, would you adopt Kazam?
Absolutely not. When you were reading the story, I was like, yeah, snakes definitely aren't for me. I'm a dog and cats kind of person.
Yeah. All right, what's up in Friday Sports Page?
Well, Michaela, we have some great topics lined up today from the world of professional and high school football. Don't move, sports fans, because coming right up, Commanders players Terry McLaurin, Quan Martin, and Tyler Biotish touched on this week's game against the New York Giants and a preview of some great high school football games that are taking place tonight. Be right back.
Why is just a starting line, for the true self blooms only when we find our purpose. What makes us tick? Below the surface. My why is diversity and unity, a safe space in my community. Living with sincerity, giving every day my everything. With my why, I stand strong, seen and supported all along. For some, their why is a summer under stars, memories and moments, connections near and far. Why is the before work hustle, an after school home, a section of my block, a corner to call my own. Our reason why is united, undivided, seeking understanding. Here, a handshake is a promise. All our hearts are dancing. Laughing is our song. It's kinship, friendship, tide rising with the ship. It's a million faces in a mirror, and everyone belongs. Find your why for a better us.
I'm the Big C.
What is the Big C?
I'm here to tell you about skin cancer. Skin cancer is the cancer you can see. If we see something new, changing, or unusual, that could be skin cancer.
Is there skin cancer on me right now?
I'm not a dermatologist, but you know who is?
Yeah.
Your dermatologist.
Yes.
You gotta get checked, girl.
Do I?
Yes! Everybody has to get checked. See the Big C today.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed to save the lives of people who are sick with a range of illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Okay, everyone, you know what time it is. Let's get into it. We begin with some NFL news as the Washington Commanders will be in action this coming weekend against a familiar foe in the New York Giants. Washington is coming off an absolute thrill of an ending last week, winning the game against the Chicago Bears on a last-second Hail Mary touchdown pass. And as impressive as that ending was, it's important for this team to turn the page and lock in for this week's matchup.
Last week is behind us, although how great it was. And I think going into this week, we've played these guys already this year, and just for it to be a division game, like the records really kind of go out of the window, in my opinion. It comes down to who can win. Really, it always comes down to the fourth quarter. But looking where we're at now and compared to how we played the first time we played them, we got to be a lot better in the red zone.
I mean, just as a player, I mean, you just got to, understand, like I said, this thing's week to week. So just trying not to get too stuck in the past and just continue to move forward, continue to go 1-0 every week. And I feel like that's what this team is doing. That's what the guys are doing. And just trying to stay focused on, what's ahead and not what's behind us.
One of those most unique wins you probably could get, right? But obviously,
once you hit Monday, like you're on to the next, right? Like you make your corrections, make everything, and obviously like you always want to come out with a win, right? And but you know, we talked about it as a team and how like you gotta, you know, get past those obviously emotions like from a huge win like that and how fashion it was and how hard fought that was. But at the same time, we're on to the next week division opponent. Like we gotta lock in, and that's what we're doing.
Kickoff is on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Come on, y'all, let's get this dub. And sticking with Commanders news, rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels is having a great start to his NFL career. The Heisman Trophy winner has played a huge role in my Commanders being in first place in the NFC East at 6-2. And he's been rewarded with his great play as he's been named the Pepsi Zero Sugar's Rookie of the Week. This comes after Daniels' game against the Bears last week as he threw 326 yards, as well as the game-winning Hail Mary touchdown pass. Daniels is racking up these awards, and this is the 6th time the 23-year-old has received this honor. And another dynamic dual-threat QB made headlines also as Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. In the month of October, Jackson threw for 12 touchdowns, 1,241 yards, and rushed for 193 yards, and led the team to a 3-1 record. Jackson may be off to the best start of his career, as this season he has thrown for 2,099 yards and 17 touchdowns. He's also done a good job of keeping the ball out of harm's way, as he only has 2 picks. Baltimore will suit up next against the Denver Broncos on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now to the world of college hoops. Congratulations to Terps forward Julian Reese for being named to the Karl Malone Power Forward of the Year watch list. This award recognizes the top power forwards in D1 men's college basketball. Reese is coming off of a season where he averaged 14 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks a game, and he's looking to be even better this season. This is the 2nd consecutive year that Reese was named to the list, and the Baltimore native is just one of 4 forwards from the Big Ten that are featured on the list. And since it's Friday, you know what that means, football fans. It's Friday Night Lights. There'll be tons of high school action on the gridiron tonight, as Wives will match up against Northwestern in their homecoming game. Crossan will travel to Landover to take on Fairmont Heights, and Laurel will be at home taking on Bladensburg. Kickoff for all games are at 7 o'clock. And that wraps up your Friday sports page.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. So what do you want to see in the Commanders-Giants game in order for the Commanders to win?
Well, 2 things, Michaela. First, I want to see the Commanders establish that run game. The Giants aren't a very good team against the rush. They're ranked 27th in the league, so I do expect B-Rob and Austin Eckler to be featured heavily in this offense and have a good day. And also, I want the Commanders' defense to be mindful of that Giants rushing attack, as their running back Tyrone Tracy, he had a big game against the Steelers on Monday Night Football. He ran for $145, so definitely be cautious of the running game of the Giants. If we do those 2 things, I think we can come away with the win at MetLife Stadium on Sunday.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
No problem.
All right, so before we go, let's get a quick look at our 3-day weather forecast tonight. Mostly clear skies with a low of 46. This Wednesday, bright and sunny skies all around. Saturday with a high of 64, and Sunday with a high of 62. Monday, partly sunny with a high of 68. And now for a look at our community calendar, calling all wizards, witches, and warlocks. Prince George's Parks and Recreation will be hosting a magical night of wizardry. Celebrate the world of magic with contests, a movie screening, a mythical bird show, and customized wands. The spellbounding night will take place this Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m. at Watkins Park. But for more information about the event, you can call 301-218-6700. And that's all the time we have. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again on Monday.
Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Join the CTV News team for live election coverage. with real-time updates, expert analysis, and exclusive insights from across the county. CTV News, bringing you complete coverage of the races that matter to you. Tune in to CTV News, special election night coverage. Live coverage begins at 8 p.m. CTV News, election results you can trust.